Welcome back to Connoisseur of Common Manure. Before we jump into all the craziness of what's been going on recently, please hit that like and subscribe button to continue pushing this news out to the world. Now, have you been seeing an increasing amount of UFO videos? Have you noticed that the news outlets can't seem to stop speaking about unidentified aerial phenomenon? If not, you might be living under a rock, but for the rest of you out there, we're going to be discussing why this is and what's going on in the world that has everybody watching the skies.
So what you're telling me is that UFOs, unidentified flying objects, are real.
Bill, I think we're beyond that already. The government has already stated for the record that they're real. I'm not telling you that. The United States government is telling you that.
Back in December of 2020, President Donald Trump signed the Coronavirus Relief and Government Funding Bill, which also started the 180-day countdown for our intelligence agencies to debrief Congress about unidentified aerial phenomenon.
You know how this sounds. It sounds nutty, wacky.
Look, Bill, I'm not telling you that it doesn't sound wacky. What I'm telling you, it's real. The question is, what is it? What are its intentions? What are its capabilities?
For some people, it's still extremely difficult to fathom the possibility of extraterrestrial life visiting our planet. The videos the Pentagon are releasing to the public are slowly easing people into this reality. We're now seeing footage of what's known to be transmedium crafts flying in our skies and then submerging into the oceans.
And of course, so did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in and he did check and there was nothing.
Well, you know, that's what we're instructed to say.
This clip you just seen with former President Barack Obama was taken back in 2015. At this time, he's already been debriefed on what the government knows about UFOs, but can't speak on it. Not only was there a stigma on the UFO topic that could really hurt his reputation for simply bringing it up and looking like a madman, but I'm sure there was also the fear of causing panic across the nation. Here is a more recent interview with our former president post-Pentagon confirming the validity of UFOs and leaking the videos they have.
No, look. The truth is that when I came into office, I asked, right? I was like, all right, is there the lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens in spaceship? They did a little bit of research, and the answer was no. But what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern.
The average human being can withstand about 9 G forces for a short period of time before we start experiencing negative biological consequences, redouts, blackouts, etc. To put that into contrast, an F-16, which is one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, can perform about 17 Gs before you start having structural failure. Wings begin to snap off. The objects we're seeing are doing 300, 400, 500, 600 Gs. Obviously well beyond the healthy limitations of anything to withstand. The SR-71 can, let's say at 3,200 miles an hour, if it wanted to make a left-hand turn, would take about half the state of Ohio to do it. And yet the things we're seeing are doing not 3,200 miles an hour, but 8, 9, 10, 11,000 miles an hour in our low atmosphere and are able to do these crazy right-angle turns. Things that we're seeing are able to operate in our atmosphere, low Earth atmosphere, high Earth atmosphere, Earth orbit, and seemingly underwater without compromising any of their design characteristics or performance parameters.
These spacecrafts are commonly seen around our naval and warships, around our nuclear bases. They tend to be extremely interested in these areas. There are many theories of why this is, but we'll go into further detail about those theories in another video. With so much footage in the world today, one is only left to question, how often is this happening? Well, Mr. Luis Elizondo, who ran the undercover program ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was asked just that, and here is his response.
It's hard to say because sometimes there's moments of lots of activity and sometimes there's not, but I would suffice it to say, weekly, if not certainly monthly.
Weekly, if not monthly. These crafts are flying around us all the time. They have been around forever, but we still know so little about them. Why is it that it's been so difficult to open up and have a conversation about what these UFOs really are? Now, I'm not saying that these are extraterrestrial, but think about this. The universe is believed to be 13.8 billion, with a B, years old, and with the Earth estimated to be 4.5 billion years old. Most of you know there are 8 planets in our solar system, 9 if you include Pluto. But do you know how many planets are in our Milky Way galaxy? At least 100 billion. And if the odds weren't great enough inside those parameters, there's estimated to be about 2 trillion galaxies in the universe with their own sets of planets. So if the question is ever asked, are we alone? The answer should always be, not a chance.
I remember distinctly giving a briefing to one senior, and after having the pilots there and all the evidence and the reporting, at the end of the day, he just couldn't process it. He looked at me and he literally asked, how are those Miami Dolphins doing this season? Which was perplexing to me and people in the briefing. I guess in other cases, some individuals have a problem with this topic because it conflicts with their philosophical or maybe theological belief system. I left because of the bureaucracy. I left because a very good, dear friend, a good person who was in charge of the department at the time, a gentleman named Jim Mattis, who's a secretary, wasn't getting the information he needed to make decisions that he needed to make.
This is an insert I took directly from the bill passed, stating, however, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomena. I assume there was no process in place because the higher-ups in power refused to believe that there was something out there that we could not explain, or they did believe it to be true, but because of their religious beliefs, decided to just leave it alone.
I remember the conversation very well. This is a person I respected tremendously, very, very senior person. He told me, he said, Lou, I want you to stop doing this. I said, okay, sir, I certainly can, but may I ask why? And he says, well, we already know what it is. Now, at that moment, I honestly thought maybe it was our own technology. I was running up against some super uber secret SAP, and they were telling me to stop. And I said, okay, sir, so it's ours? And he said, no, that's not what I'm saying. And he said, he asked me point blank, have you read your Bible lately? And I wasn't quite sure where he was going with that. And I said, well, sir, I think I know what it says. Where are you going with this? And he said, well, then you would know that these things are demonic and we should not be pursuing them.
Is there someone here on Earth that knows the truth of who is piloting these UFOs? I'm sure of it. Whomever they are, do you believe they are a threat to the human civilization? Honestly, I feel that we're more of a threat to ourselves. With their technology they've displayed, if they had any ill intent, I'm sure it would have been shown already. The truth lies right around the corner. And with that said, I'll leave you with Luis Elizondo's wise words.
Imagine the first person who decided to get on a boat and sail over the horizon, right? And there's discussion of sea monsters and krakens that will devour you and destroy your boat. And yet we did it anyways. We did sail and we explored the world. And it turns out, 500 years later, yeah, there really are sea monsters, except for we call them the great squid of the Pacific, and we call them great white sharks and whales. Now they're just part of nature. They have a scientific name. But, those sea monsters still exist. They're there. We just learned to understand them. And maybe this is the same thing. Maybe this is just yet another expedition over the horizon in which we're going to realize what we thought were monsters are really just neighbors.